Welcome to dreamy fairy English land. Today, I'm going to tell you a fantastic story. Snow White. Once upon a time, there was a princess. She had skin as white as snow, lips as red as roses, and hair as black as night. She lived in a beautiful castle until one day the magic mirror gave an answer to the question. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? Relax and get cozy. You can choose a comfortable position. Let's dive into the fantastic story. A long time ago, in a faraway kingdom, there was a beautiful princess named Snow White. She was born on a snowy day, with a heart as pure and white as the falling snow. But her stepmother, the queen, was jealous of her beauty. The queen had a magic mirror, and every day she asked, Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? For many years, the mirror always answered, You, my queen, are the fairest of them all. But one day, as Snow White grew up, the mirror said, Snow White is the fairest of them all. The queen was very angry. I will not allow this, she shouted. She called a hunter and ordered him to take Snow White deep into the forest and kill her. The hunter took Snow White far away, but when he looked into her kind eyes, he could not hurt her. Run, princess, he said softly. The queen wants to harm you. Never go back to the castle. Snow White ran through the dark forest. After a long time, Snow White found a small house. She knocked, but no one answered. So she stepped inside and saw that everything was tiny. The chairs, the beds, and even the plates on the table. The house was very messy. There were dirty dishes in the sink, dust on the floor, and clothes everywhere. This place needs a big cleaning, Snow White said. She rolled up her sleeves and got to work. She washed the dishes, swept the floor, and even folded the tiny clothes. The animals helped her too. The birds carried small pieces of cloth, and the squirrels wiped the table with their tails. That evening, 7 dwarfs came home from work. When the 7 dwarfs came home, they were very surprised. Wow, our house is so clean, said one dwarf. Who did this? Asked another. Snow White smiled. I did. A clean house is a happy house. The dwarfs were so happy that they decided to let Snow White stay with them. As days passed, Snow White helped clean the house and cook food. She also went into the forest to pick flowers and sing with the birds. Then, one day, she heard a horse crying in pain. She followed the sound and found a young prince lying on the ground. His horse had fallen, and he hurt his leg. Snow White quickly tore a piece of her dress and tied it around his leg. "This will help," she said kindly. The prince smiled. "Thank you. You are very kind. What is your name?" "Snow White," she said softly. The prince wanted to say more, but his servants arrived to help him. Before leaving, he looked at her and said, "I will not forget you." Meanwhile, in the castle, the queen asked her mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror said, "Snow White is the fairest." The queen became very angry. Then she found out where Snow White was staying and went to the little house in the forest. She dressed like an old woman and made a poisoned apple. Snow White was alone when the old woman knocked on the door. "Hello, dear girl," she said, holding out the apple. "Do you want a sweet apple?" Snow White took a bite, and at once she felt dizzy. She fell to the ground, and the apple rolled from her hand. That evening, the dwarfs came home and found her lying still. "She is not breathing," one of the dwarfs cried. The dwarfs were very sad and placed her in a glass box, believing she was gone forever. They stayed beside her, hoping for a miracle. One day, the prince returned to the forest to find the kind girl who had helped him. When he saw Snow White lying in the glass box, he felt very sad. He gently kissed her forehead. At that moment, Snow White's eyes opened. The dwarfs were very surprised and happy. Snow White sat up and saw the prince. "You came back," she said softly. The prince smiled. "I promised I would." The dwarfs cheered, and the animals danced with joy. In the end, the wicked queen was punished for her jealousy and evil deeds, while Snow White and the prince lived happily ever after, surrounded by kindness and love. This is a beautiful story, and love can bring miracles. But we still have something important to remember. In this story, Snow White took food from a stranger and fell into a deep sleep. While being kind to others is wonderful, it's just as important to protect ourselves. In life, rather than waiting for a prince, it's faster to see a doctor. Of course, it's important to show kindness and share with others. Snow White cleaned the dwarf's house, and in return, they took care of her. This reminds us that helping one another makes our bonds stronger. Sometimes, a strong friendship can help you get through tough times and overcome any challenge. That's the story for today. If you enjoyed it, remember to subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up. I wish you have a restful sleeps and sweet dreams. Good night.